It's the toughest phone call you've ever made or received. Calling my mother and stepfather to tell them that I had been roofied and essayed. I was 18, living 1,900 miles from home during my freshman year of college. I had been invited to a birthday party at a bar where the rear area of the bar had been rented out for the party. It was an 18 to enter, 21 to drink place that gives you a hand stamp letting the bartender know if you can drink or not. I didn't care. I was just having fun with like close to 25 or so friends and classmates. I was drinking Dr. Pepper and ran out. I went over to the bar to get a refill and the drink dispenser only spit out mildly brown water. The girl behind the bar told me that she was out and I could go up front to get a refill or wait for 20 minutes or so until someone could come back and fix it for her. I opted to go up front. I walked up and asked for a Dr. Pepper and the last thing I remember was the bartender grabbing my glass and filling it up. I woke up hours later in the ER with my roommate, who did not go to the party with me, and a nurse and doctor telling me I had been essayed multiple times. By multiple people. I was seen staggering out of an alleyway, in my underwear and holding the rest of my clothes to my chest, near a Jackson's convenience store by a friend of my roommate. She ran out and grabbed me and put me in her car and called my roommate to tell her I was drunk, and she grabbed me to keep me from getting busted. My roommate showed up to pick me up, and when she was putting me in her car, she noticed I didn't have any alcohol on my breath, but saw how out of it I was. She took me to the ER and told them I was acting strange and she thought something was wrong. They ran a blood test and it came back with rohypnol in my system, as well as some other substances I can't even pronounce. Seeing that, they immediately did an assay test and found some blood and bodily fluids. As I was coming out of it, they informed me that I had been roofied and essayed, and I immediately broke down. I am also a childhood essay survivor, and according to studies, survivors are re-victimized at a rate of 36% to 48%. That means 1 of every 3 to 1 of every 2 are re-victimized in adolescence or early adulthood. I was destroyed. I then had to make the hardest phone call of my entire life. I had to call my mother and tell her what happened to me. All I heard was the loud thud of the phone hitting the floor, and I heard her sobbing. My stepdad got on the phone and immediately started asking all the questions you'd expect a very overprotective stepfather would ask. I explained I had been roofied and was either completely unconscious or I didn't remember any of it. I heard my mother in the background keep telling him to tell me they're on their way. I had to spend the night in the hospital while they monitored me to make sure the substances flushed out of my system. I spent a while talking to the police. My roommate stayed with me as long as she could and then had to go back to our dorm and get ready for work. The nurse, seeing how anxious or apprehensive I was, ended up staying well past her 12-hour shift to sit with me until my roomie came to pick me up. My parents arrived about 3 hours after I was discharged. Mom wanted to pull me out of school and take me home, but I fought her on it and she finally let me stay. I was already in therapy for my childhood traumas I mentioned, and this just added to my problems. I isolated myself in my dorm room and only came out to go get food, or to go to class. Several weeks later, we heard back from the police and I was informed it had been done by a group, not just one person. They found 5 biological samples inside of me. The police said that meant it was probably at least 5 guys and possibly more. I was numb. I didn't know how to feel other than angry, and I didn't know what to say. I became even more isolated for a long time. None of the DNA samples matched any known samples, and the police said they had done all they could do. Nobody at the bar saw me leave with anyone. They attributed that to my size of 4'11" and around 90 pounds, saying that someone my size could have easily been covered by a jacket and lead out of the bar. The security cameras in the front part of the bar were not working, so they had nothing on video either. My friends at the party thought I had just gotten tired and left to go back to my dorm. All the guys that were at the birthday party with our friends voluntarily gave DNA to be ruled out. The police said that they couldn't go door to door and ask for DNA samples, or ask every guy at my school to submit a samples, and that was as far as it ever went. There have been no reported incidents there since mine, so it all went cold. Many people ask how this has affected me, and I guess from some morbid or perverted curiosity, how this has affected my intimate life. I graduated last May, got married to the love of my life, and am really happy and fairly well adjusted, except for the occasional bad days. I work a daily job with my husband on a ranch owned by his parents, and I have a side job as a forensic investigator. Our bedroom life has no problems. So, imagine living away from your very overprotective attorney of a mother for the first time and having to call her to let her know you've been assaulted, then have to convince her to let you stay in school, then go through it all a few weeks later when you find out it was done by multiple people. So yeah, that was the hardest phone I have ever made in my entire life.